Hello guys, a very good evening to all of you. So guys, we started a new chapter in the previous class, and we said that in that chapter we'll understand the accounting procedures, basically the rules of debit and credit, right? So I'll just give a quick summary of what we discussed, guys. We understood that every transaction that is being recorded in your books of accounts has to be, recorded having evidence with it, right? The evidence is very important, and the recording takes place. The recording takes place in journal, and journal is also called as book of original entry, right guys? Then we understood that from journal we post the transactions to the ledger. Why? Because in journal we record so many transactions, in that bucket it becomes very difficult for me to collate and understand that how much is purchase, how much is my sales, how much is my various expenses, how much is my furniture, how much is my land building, etc. So what we do is for each and every item separately we open an account, and we pick that item and put in that respective account. We take purchase item, put it in purchase account. We take sales item, put it in sales account. We take land item, put it in land account. We take let's say stationary expense item and put in stationary expense account. So like that, for each and every item guys, we have a separate account, and there we classify it in such a way that I can get the summary, that is total of each and every account. So that is called as posting to ledger. Now guys, every transaction that happens in the business, that is every business financial transaction, is got uh, obviously two persons. As I said, one business and another is third party. Forget that. Every business financial transaction will have two aspects, two account. One has to be debited, another has to be credited. Now what has to be debited, what has to be credited, how do we understand, sir? That you will understand from accounting rule. So there are two rules guys, there are two approaches. One is traditional approach, another is modern approach. Traditional approach is also called as English approach, the nickname, right? And it is also called as golden rule of accounting. Golden rule of accounting. Very, very important word. It is called as golden rule of accounting. It is known as golden rule, right? It is a traditional approach. It is the approach which was used by the accountants in the past. But in today's what do you call scenario, a lot of people have started using the modern approach, right? So guys, today's entire class we'll be discussing only about the golden rule, because we have a lot of things to discuss in golden rule, and we'll be doing a couple of practical questions using the golden rule, right? So let's understand golden rule. What does golden rule says? What does traditional approach or the English approach says? That it says that every what in a business financial transaction, as I said, there are two accounts or two items that has been affected, or two aspects that is being affected. You can classify those items, those accounts, or those aspects in three different categories. First category is called as personal category. Second, it is called as real category. And third, it is called as nominal category. Just get some more space here. And the last one is called as, guys, nominal category. This is category or classification. This is category or classification of traditional approach, or you can say golden rule. Now let's understand the nature of the three categories, guys. I'll go in reverse. I'll go first nominal, then real, then personal. Okay. Now what is nominal category? Guys, they say that in a business financial transaction, when you come across any two account, right? If you come across any two account, that account you'll be able to classify it as income, expense, loss, or gain. To put in other words, guys, if at all in any business financial transaction, if at all in any business financial transaction, if you come across any account which has got the flavor of, which has got the smell of income, gain, expense, and loss, that will belong to nominal category. To be very precise, all the accounts that comes under trading and P&L account, all the accounts that comes under trading and P&L account, all the items that comes under trading and P&L account, that will fit under nominal category, right? Yes, are you able to understand this point, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if you come across any transaction in that, if you can see a flavor or you can smell the flavor of income, gain, expense and losses, then the rule what you look up to, is nominal. It is nominal. Now what is nominal says? Nominal says that debit all expense and losses. Debit all expenses and losses. If in any business financial transaction, if you come across any flavor of expenses and losses, you have to debit them. So that's when you have to debit them. Now, if you come across any account which has got the flavor of income and gain, you have to credit it. Credit all income and gain. Let's do one example, guys. Let's do one example. Business sold goods to Ram for 10,000 rupees on cash basis. This is an example, guys. First of all, guys, is it a business financial transaction? First of all, is it even a transaction? Can I say transaction involved two people? In that, one is business, another is third party. So can I say business is involved here and third party is Ram? So can I call this as a transaction, guys? Tell me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Is this transaction involving money or money's worth?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Guys, money or money's worth, or if I say financial transaction, it does not mean that the money should be received or paid immediately. It can happen at later date also, but still it is called as a financial transaction because some financial worth has to be attached to the transaction. That is what is important. So yes, we have 10,000 worth money that has been attached to this transaction. So this is a financial transaction and this is happening in the course of business. Hence, it is a business financial transaction. Now, please identify. I told you after identifying a business financial transaction, you need to identify two accounts that is being affected in this transaction. Tell me, guys, which two accounts are affected in this transaction? Now, what will you keep in mind?
Debit.
What will you? Yeah, credit and debit is a aspect. Credit and debit is the aspect which you will apply to that account. Now, which account, which two accounts are affected in this? I told you guys, the ultimate
business
motive.
and Ram.
One second. I told you ultimate motive of, having accounts in picture is to find out your profit and loss, right? Profit and loss is found out through trading and P&L account. And another motive of having accounts is to know the financial position of your business. To know the financial position of your business, you need to prepare balance sheet. In balance sheet, we have asset and liabilities. So basically, if I have to keep these two statements in mind, trading and P&L will have all the flavors of income, expense, gain and losses, and balance sheet will have the flavors of assets and liabilities. So I need to capture all these things. So in this transaction, please sense and tell me what transactions can you feel? Which account can you feel here? After identifying, sorry, one second, sorry to interrupt. After identifying those two accounts, then you will decide which one to debit and which one to credit. Go ahead, sorry.
Sir, so one account will be the one of the business and the other one will be Ram's account.
Okay. Anybody else? Now tell me one thing. Who answered this? Navya, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Navya, you said that business account is getting affected and the Ram account is getting affected. Now we are counting this in the books of business itself. So in business, in the book of my business, I will not reflecting my business name anywhere. Now tell me one thing. If I take into consideration business, if this is an account, yes, account should be measured in terms of money. You identified this as a business financial transaction. You want to measure in terms of money. This business, how can you measure in terms of money? Where will I record? Will I record in my trading P&L or will I record this in my balance sheet?
Trading and P&L.
Will you record business in trading P&L or will you record sales in your trading P&L? Are you able to understand how do you go ahead with this? So guys, sale is one account which is affected here. Sale is something which reflects in my trading and P&L account as income. Guys, can I say sale is nothing but is a kind of income for you? Navya, are you able to understand what I'm trying to talk?
Yes, sir.
So one account that is affected is sale. Then you may say, sir, goods. We have to record, take care of goods, right? Goods is they're going out in the business. So as long as purchase and sale is recorded, guys, you don't have to worry about goods. Goods will automatically be taken care. So you will not take goods into consideration. You will not take business into consideration. Sir, will I take Ram into consideration? Because I'm selling goods to Ram, so I have to record his name. My question is, this transaction is done on cash basis. I'm immediately getting the money from Ram. So do I really need to remember his name? In my, let's say if I'm running a department store, thousands of customers, come and buy from my department store on daily basis. Is it practically possible to note down each and every person's name? And
No, sir.
why? What is the necessity for me to remember Ram's name? When this gentleman has already come and purchased and he's paid the money on spot, what is the need for me to remember his name? So I will not try to account Ram also in my books of accounts. Then what will you record, sir? One account is sale. What is another account? Sir, cash.
Okay.
Not purchase. We are selling it. So we have to account from the business point of view. From Ram's point of view, it is purchase. But I'm not doing from Ram's point of view. I'm not accounting from Ram's point of view. I'm accounting from business point of view. For business, this is a sale transaction. And it is a cash sale transaction. So the two accounts that is affected here is sales and cash. Sales and cash. What do you have to say on this? What do you have to say on this? Guys, are you able to understand? It'll take some time. You'll take a couple of classes to understand that in a transaction, what two accounts are important for me. Once you select those two important accounts, guys, only then you'll apply the rule of debit and credit. So first we'll try to understand how do you select those two accounts. Sometimes there could be a confusion, what to select and what not to select. So that is the first step you have to achieve. Then after selecting those two accounts, then what is the debit and what is the credit? Now guys, you have selected two accounts. One is sales account, another is cash account. I'm just discussing nominal rule with you guys. Nominal rule says that if in any business financial transaction, if you sense the flavor of expense, loss, income and gain, then you come to me. Who is saying this? Nominal is saying this. Nominal account is saying that you come to me only if you sense any account having the flavor of expense, loss, income and gain. Can I say sales has got the flavor of income?
Yes, sir.
So what should I do with sales? Should I debit sales or should I credit sales?
Credit.
Credit.
Credit sales. See, I've asked you the question. Now you yourself answered the question. Guys, are you able to understand? This is how accounts is. Very, very simple. Let me give you another example. Now, what should be done with cash? You'll understand, guys. I've not done with the all the classification of golden rule. I'm yet to discuss real and personal. Once I do real and personal, you'll understand that okay, what should I do with cash? But here, for a second, guys, if sales you credit, cash will obviously be debit, because in one transaction there are two accounts, and one account will have debit aspect, another account will have credit aspect. So if sale is having credit aspect, obviously your cash should be debit. But I don't want you to buy out this way. We'll understand the rule in the real and personal, then you decide the debit what you've done for cash is right or wrong. Okay, so before that I have to give one more example to you. It says that business purchased goods from Sham for rupees 6,000 on cash basis. Guys, is it a business financial transaction? Can I say this transaction is happening between business and Sham?
Yes, sir.
So it is a transaction, and this involves money, whether paid immediately or not, whether paid immediately or later, doesn't matter. It is a financial transaction and it is happening in the course of business. Hence, it is a business financial transaction. Point number one. Second, every transaction will have two accounts. Tell me, guys, which two accounts are affected here?
Purchase, cash.
One account is purchase, another account is cash.
Super, brilliant. Purchase and cash. Now you may ask, sir, why is goods not taken into consideration? I told you very clearly, when you are accounting for purchase, when you're accounting for sales, goods is taken care. Purchase means goods coming in, sales means goods going out. So your goods is taken care. And why are we not taking Sham's account into consideration? Because I don't need to remember Sham's name, because I have paid the money to the person, that is Sham. So I don't need to remember the name of Sham. So whenever in the cash transaction is taking place, you will not remember the party's name. You have taken the goods, you have paid the money, game over. So the two accounts that is affected here is purchase account and cash account. So let's make a note of it. Purchase and cash. Now guys, I told you if in any business financial transaction, if you sense the flavor of income, expense, gain and loss, you should come to nominal account. You should look up to nominal account. In this, can you sense any flavor of expense, loss, income and gain? In purchase, can you smell or sense the nature of expense, loss, income or gain? What say, guys? What kind of a smell that is coming from purchase? Is it an expense smell or is it an income smell?
Purchase would be expense loss, right?
Expense loss. Very simple, no? I'm buying something, I'm paying the money. It's an expense for me, obviously. So from purchase, we get the flavor of expenses, sir. Therefore, I have to knock the door of nominal account and get the help of nominal rule. Nominal says that debit all expense and losses, credit all incomes and gains. So purchase, guys, now you tell me, should I debit or credit?
Debit.
See, I did not answer, you answered. I just questioned. Now tell me, guys, if purchase is debit, cash will be what?
Credit.
Credit.
Obviously opposite credit. One debit means obviously another will be credit. But now we'll understand with the rule why cash is debit and why cash is credit. So guys, are you clear with nominal part at least?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now let's head towards the real rule. Real rule says that if in any business financial transaction, if you sense the flavor of assets, that is tangible and intangible assets, all the assets, if you sense the smell of an asset, except debtor, bank, if you sense the smell of assets, then you look up to my door. You come to me, I'll help you. So this is real. This is real account. Okay, real means I'll tell you assets. Now, what is the rule here? What is the rule that has been followed here? The rule is debit what comes in, credit what goes out. So real account says that all those people, those who are having the asset tag, please look up to me here. Here, I'm here. So please come to me here. I'll give the rule what you need to do. But debtor and bank, just run away. You don't have to come here. This is not your home. This is not your home. Now tell me, guys, the two transactions which I gave you. Let's talk about this first. Business sold goods to Ram for 10,000 rupees on cash basis. Sales, you have identified how you need to debit and credit. Let's talk about cash, guys. Cash. Whether do you sense the flavor of income, expense, gain or loss? Do you sense the flavor of asset or liability? You sense the smell of asset, liability, and more precisely asset. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Assets. So if it is asset, and moreover cash is neither debtor nor bank, so you look up to real account. You look up to real category. The rule says that debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Now tell me, guys, if I do sales in the business, cash is coming in or going out? If I do more and more sales, cash will come in or go out?
Come in.
So debit what comes in. So cash is coming in. That's why we debited cash. Now are you clear why debit cash? Look at the rule. It is beautifully framed. It says that debit what comes in, whatever is coming in. If any asset is coming inside the business, it can be any assets. If it is coming inside the business, then debit it. If it is going out, if it is saying Tata, bye-bye, then credit it. Now let's talk about the next transaction, guys. We said that business purchases goods from Shyam for rupees 6,000 on cash basis. The two accounts that you identified is purchase and cash. So as per nominal rule, purchase is debited. Now cash, guys, you look up to real account. You look up to real category. There it says that debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Now, when I purchase the goods, guys, money comes in or it goes out? Comes in and goes out from the business. Goes out. It goes away from the business. It goes out from the business. So credit what goes out. That is why cash was credited. Are you getting this point, guys? So every transaction will have two aspects. One debit aspect, another credit aspect. One debit aspect, another credit aspect. Are you able to get the answer?
Yes, sir.
Now coming back. Nominal, guys, what did we study for nominal? Nominal accounts, that is nominal category. It says that nominal account is such an account which relates to expenses, losses, gain, revenue. Therefore, they are termed as nominal accounts. These are salary accounts. Salary, guys, I pay salary to my staff. Can I say it is expense?
Yes, sir.
Purchases, expense. Interest paid, expense. Sales, revenue, income. Commission received, income. Guys, I'm getting commission for doing something. Commission, income. So whenever you come across any account which has got the flavor of income, expense, gain, and loss, you will look up to nominal rule. And what does the nominal rule says that? Debit all expenses, losses, credit all incomes and gains. Right? The net result of all the nominal accounts is profit or loss, which is transferred to capital account. Obviously, guys, in nominal account, we record all the incomes, all the expenses. And if you net this off, you'll get profit and loss. And you know very well that profit and loss has to be transferred to the owner's capital account. That's what we studied in basic accounting terms. Correct? Tell me, guys, do you have any problem with nominal accounts?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Now, real account, guys. Real account means what? Real accounts are those accounts. There is real categories are those categories which are related to tangible or intangible asset of the firm, excluding debtors. Actually, tangible, intangible alone is not here. There are so many assets which are other than tangible, intangible assets. Even all the assets are included here. So to be very precise, all the assets, whenever you come across any assets, you look up to real account, except debtor and bank. Why it is excluded? I'll give the logic in next couple of minutes. The examples of tangible assets are land, building, investment, plant, machinery, stock, cash in hand, etc. Examples of intangible assets are goodwill, patent, and trademarks. Very simple. The rule is debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Guys, I'm purchasing a land. When I purchase a land, guys, land is my asset. Debit what comes in, asset is coming in, land is coming in. So debit what comes in. When I purchase the land, money is going out. Money is going out from my cash. So cash will be created, credit what goes out. We'll do a lot of questions based on this, guys. Don't worry. Now this real and nominal together clubbed, they are called as impersonal account. So basically, if you look at the category, it is actually two classification. One is personal, another is impersonal. Under impersonal, we have real and nominal. But why did I do the other way around in the whiteboard is because we don't frequently remember the impersonal account. We don't frequently use the term impersonal. In normal scenario, if they ask you a question, they'll ask a question as if, if there is a transaction, please classify whether it is personal, real or nominal. So this is the more commonly used word. That is why I said always categories are three: personal, real and nominal. So I never use the word impersonal there. No need to remember also, just a classification. But yes, from your theory point of view, 1 mark question point of view, they may ask that under impersonal account, what are the two rule that you study? You'll say that, sir, one real, another is nominal. But from golden rules point of view, the golden rule is for the personal account, the golden rule is for the real account and the nominal account only. So that is why the more commonly used word is personal, real and nominal. So that's why I did those three categories on the whiteboard. So guys, I've done with impersonal account, which is real and nominal. Now let's understand personal account. What is personal account? Personal accounts means this is that rule which is applicable or related to persons, that is individual, human beings. Guys, the nature is personal, which means person should be involved. The person can be individual, firm, companies, debtors, creditors, etc. These are all personal accounts. Now guys, I'll give you one example. Business sold goods to Ram for rupees 10,000 on credit basis. Tell me guys, which two accounts are affected here?
Sales, credit.
Sales, because I have to take care of my income, because every transaction ultimately leads to the profitability of the business, and profit means sales will come into picture. So sales is affected. Another account, guys.
Credit.
Not credit. Ram.
Ram. Yeah, Ram.
What will you do with credit? Actually, we cannot do anything with credit. Credit is actually a rule. Right? Credit basis is trying to tell that this transaction is of credit nature. It is not cash nature of transaction. This is a credit nature of transaction. So the two accounts that is affected is sales account and Ram account. Tell me guys, sales account means it has got the flavor of which thing? Can I say it has got the flavor of income? Tell me guys, can I say sales has got the flavor of income? So if you've got the flavor of income, you look up to nominal, debit all expense and losses, create all incomes and gain, create all incomes and gain. So I'll credit sales, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Ram guys, Ram, can I say Ram is a human being? He's a person. And why did I take Ram account into considerations? Because guys, I have sold good to Ram. I need to remember to collect the money from Ram. So don't you think that I need to create an account as a name and note it somewhere in my books that Pratik, without forgetting, please collect money from Ram. So I'm creating Ram's account to remember to collect money from him. In the cash sale, guys, I did not open Ram's account because he paid me the money. Game is over. I don't have to remember his name. But in credit transaction, it is very important. It is very important for you to remember the person's name. Guys, so now Ram is a person. Now what rule will you apply? From Ram, do you get the flavor of sales, income, that is income, expense, gain and loss? Tell me. To be more precise, Ram, one second, Kana. To be more precise, can I say Ram means debtor to the business point of view? From business point of view, Ram is customer who's supposed to give me the money in future. So can I say technically Ram is called as debtor, from business accounts point of view? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now keeping this debtor, guys, debtor is asset. Debtor is asset. So you cannot apply the nominal rule, nor you can apply real, because real is for assets. The rule of real is for assets, but we have excluded specifically debtor in bank. So what am I left with? Can I say I'm left with only personal account? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's come here. Tell me guys, what are the two important purposes for which you have your accounting done? Why are you doing accounts? What are the two main purposes?
Profit and loss.
Ascertain profit and loss.
Profit and loss.
Super. To ascertain profit and loss, and then
Financial position. To ascertain financial position.
to ascertain the financial position. Very good. To ascertain your profit and loss, which statement are you preparing?
Trading P&L account.
P&L account.
Trading and P&L account. Okay. And to ascertain the financial position, which statement are you preparing?
Balance sheet.
Balance sheet.
Balance sheet. In the trading and P&L account, what are the different categories or the different what are different categories of items that you record?
Income, expense.
All that relates to income, all that relates to gain, all that
Expense,
relate to
loss.
expense,
Loss.
all that relates to loss. So can I say entire trading and P&L account will look up to only one and only rule, which is nominal? Because in trading and P&L, I don't have any flavor of assets. I don't have any flavor of liabilities. So I have the only and only flavor of income, gain and expense loss. So for that, what rule you look up to?
Nominal.
Nominal. Are you clear with this point? Now coming to balance sheet. From balance sheet's point of view, guys, which two categories are recorded here? In balance sheet, which two categories you record?
Liability and asset.
Assets and liabilities. Now to record assets, which rule will you look up to? Obviously, nominal will not be applicable because nominal is taken care by trading and P&L account.
Real.
Nominal is supporting trading and P&L. So what am I left with? Assets and liabilities can seek help of whom? Either personal or real. Real is only willing to help assets. Real account is only willing to help assets. So for me to record assets in the book of account, the rule which I look up to is real. Who is excluded here?
Debtor.
Liabilities.
And
Sorry, debtor and bank.
bank.
Except debtors and bank. Then where will this debtors and bank go? Can I say to personal? Where will liabilities go? Liabilities cannot go and seek help of nominal account. Liabilities cannot seek the help of real account because nominal says that I like only income, gain, expense, loss. So I'll help them only. Real account says that I lack only assets, so I'll help them only. So where will liability go? Liability will look up to personal.
Personal.
And can I say along with liabilities, debtor and bank will also look up to personal. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? So what does the personal rule says that? Now let's understand the rule of personal. Personal rule says that debit the receiver, credit the giver. Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Guys, Ram, tell me guys, what is Ram doing? Ram is receiving the goods or giving the goods?
Giving the goods.
Guys, in this transaction, what is Ram giving and taking? Can I say Ram is giving and taking goods because money is not involved? So only one thing which Ram can take is goods here. So can I say we are talking about goods here? So Ram is receiving what? What is Ram receiver of? Can I say Ram is receiver of goods? If Ram is receiver of goods, can I say we need to debit? Tell me guys. What do you say? Ram is a debtor. Guys, Ram from my business is a customer. Ram is customer for my business. I need to remember to collect money from him. He's my debtor. Debtor is asset. Asset means what? Asset means something you own. Asset means something you own it or you expect to receive that money in future. So debtor, I don't own it. I expect to receive the money from debtor in future. So thereby Ram is debtor and debit the receiver. Debit the receiver. I'll give one more example. Business purchased goods from Shyam for rupees 6,000 on credit basis. Tell me which two accounts are affected here.
Purchase.
Purchase and Shyam.
Shyam.
Purchase and Shyam. Purchase because I have to take care of my profits. So purchase is contributing in my profit, right? So it comes under my trading and P&L account. So one account that is affected is purchase. Another account that is affected is Shyam. Why? Because I need to pay Shyam. I need to remember to pay Shyam in future. So I'm creating a account in my books so that I remember that I have to pay him. Because in business, I enter into so many transactions. I have to give money to so many people. Unless and until I note it down somewhere, I'll not remember. So that's why we are noting down Shyam's name. Now guys, purchase has got the flavor of expenses. So we are looking up to nominal rules. Hence, debit all expense and losses. So purchase account will debit it. Shyam guys, Shyam. From Shyam, I don't get any flavor of income, expense, gain or loss. Shyam, technically, what do we call him as guys? What do we call him? Creditor. From business point of view is creditor because I owe the money. I have to pay money to Shyam in future. Liability. It is a liability, right? So Shyam is a creditor. That is liability of the business. So I cannot look up to real account because real account is willing to help only assets. Now Shyam is a liability. The only person you can seek help is personal. Personal says that debit the receiver, credit the giver. Now Shyam is receiver or giver?
Giver.
What is he giving? What is he giving?
He's giving the goods.
Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Shyam is giver. He is the giver of the goods. So debit the receiver, credit the giver. Credit. So Shyam's account, I'll credit it. One debit, another credit. All of you clear with this point of this thing?
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
done. I'm done. I'm not still done with it. I'm just trying to ask if you're comfortable with so far what we're explaining. Little bit. Are you comfortable? Not too much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Tell me one
Yes,
thing.
sir.
In India, if I do business as a single person, I can do the business. Yes. Tell me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want to do business. I don't want to do it with anybody else. I want to be the single owner of the business. Okay, single owner of the business. If I run that kind of a business, guys, I'm called as a sole proprietorship business. Sole proprietor. Sole means single. Proprietorship means businessman. So a single businessman, a single owner. So I can run the business in this form. This is the technical name. Sole proprietorship is the technical name. In accounts, we call it as. So sometimes in some business, yes, single owner cannot manage everything. Some business require huge investment. As a single person, I have certain limitations. I might have a limitation of not having sufficient money. I might have the limitation of not being able to manage everything. So therefore, I look up to a partner who can help me do the work. So I'll take care of one part of the business, you take care of another part of the business. I'll put in some money as capital, you put in some money as capital, because I cannot afford the entire capital that is required in the business. So if you want to have more than one owner, then you can have multiple, you can run this business in multiple ways. One such way is called as partnership business. This is sole proprietorship business. This is partnership business, where two or more people are working together, that is joining hands together to run a business, to start and run a business. Both of them are owners. Partnership has got certain limitations. You cannot take up a partnership business beyond level. You have certain limitations in that. To overcome that limitation, guys, we have companies. In this entire 11th standard, we are going to study only about how do we do the accounting of a sole proprietorship business. In 12th, you'll understand the accounting of partnership business, company, and etc. Now, what is the point of me discussing here is that, guys, the single owner, that is a single man, guys. I'm not talking about owner. A single man is called as a person. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Let's say you and me. Can I say we are persons? Are we natural persons or are we artificial person? Natural person. Natural person means what? We have been created by God. So we are all natural person. So we are all called persons. No doubt about that. But apart from us, there's someone else who is also called as person, and that is a sole proprietorship business is called as a person. A partnership business is also called as a person, and a company is also called as a person. Guys, there are more forms in which you can do business, such as LLP, HUF, and so on. I'm not discussing all that. All I'm trying to tell is that if you start any business, if you have a business in form of a sole proprietorship business or a partnership business or a company, even that is called as a person. This is also called as a person. But are they a natural person? Have they been created by God? No, it is created by human beings. So can I say these are artificial persons? Who says that these are artificial person? Law says that, government says that these businesses are called person, but artificial person. Guys, are you able to understand these 2 points?
Yes, sir.
One is normal human being. Guys, I am entering, or I am, let's say, selling goods to Ram. Now tell me one thing here. Ram, I have sold goods to Ram here. Tell me, Ram is natural person or artificial person?
Natural.
He's a natural person because Ram was created by God. Now let's suppose I say that I sold goods to Ram and Co. So one is my business, another is third party's business. Now this Ram and Co, guys, is a person, but an artificial person. Are you able to follow? Is it necessary that anybody who comes and purchases or sells in my business has to be a natural person? Some other business and also can come and purchase from me, no? To some other business also I can sell the goods, right? So I can be dealing with the natural person or artificial person. So this personal account, guys, has got 2 categories. That is, one is natural person category, another is artificial person category. If anywhere if you come across the nature of natural personal account, you look up to personal account for debit and credit. If you come across anywhere artificial persons, if you're dealing with artificial persons anywhere, then you look up to the personal account for debiting and crediting. So what are they telling? Accounts which are related to person. The person can be natural or artificial. That is individual, firm, partnership firm, companies, debtors. Debtors means customers, creditors. Debtors, creditors are all my human beings. Etc. are personal accounts. These are all treated as personal accounts. Example of personal accounts are Ram and Co, who said customer and debtor. In our case, Ram and Co was my customer, my debtor. Right? So he is my personal account. So Ram and Co is the account that you'll select for the applying the rule. So which category you'll put into? You'll put under personal category for deciding should I debit or credit Ram. Like that we have Jhaveri and Co, etc. Right? So capital account, guys. Owner is giving capital to the business. Third transaction. Owner gives 10 lakh rupees capital to business. Please tell me in this which two accounts are affected? Which two accounts are affected? Owner give 10 lakh rupees in cash as capital to the business. Tell me guys, which two accounts are affected?
So the sales and cash as capital.
Where is sales?
I mean, gives.
Owner gives.
Sir.
Okay,
Oh,
so
it's the
owner is giving. This is capital.
Owner
It's
is
not a sale
affected,
transaction.
sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Owner's transaction be affected and cash transaction. And whenever guys, if anywhere in any business financial transaction, wherever you come across owner means capital. Anything that is happening between the owner and the business will be routed through the capital account. So owner is equal to capital. So can I say the account that is affected here is capital account and cash account? Capital means owner. So two accounts that is affected
owner
is.
entity means like capital only, sir.
Sorry, Kana, come again.
Owner entity means like
Owner entity means
capital only, no, sir.
correct. See, anything happens between the owner and the business will be routed through the capital account. The account between them is capital account. So here business, guys, I taught you one concept as business entity concept, accounting entity concept. In that they say that whenever a transaction happens between business and the owner, you have to treat them both as separate. So now business has to remember, guys, to pay this capital back to the owner. So the two accounts that is affected is capital owner, another is cash account. In this transaction, guys, one capital owner is affected, another cash is affected. Why cash is affected, guys? Can I say when the owner gives money in the business, can I say cash will increase? Cash is coming inside the business, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So I need to remember to record cash. Guys, I need to record cash. If I don't record cash, then how will I know that 10 lakh rupees received is with me or not? So I need to record cash. Guys, when money is coming in your hand, you'll make a note of it. No, I've got 100 rupees today. So I'm making a note of 10 lakh rupees, which has come today from the owner. And second, why am I remembering capital owner? Because this is a liability, which I have to repay the money back to the owner in future, whenever he demands. So I need to remember the liability. So this is a liability and this is an asset. Tell me guys, cash is an asset. Which account will look up to? Are you getting the flavor of income, expense, gain, loss from the cash? No. So you will not go up to nominal rule. So cash is asset. So therefore you will go up to the real account. You'll go to real account and get the rule. The rule of real account is what? Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. So tell me guys, when the owner is giving capital to the business, money is coming in or going out? Cash is coming in? Yes.
Coming in.
So you'll debit what comes in. Now capital, that is owner, guys. Obviously you cannot apply the nominal rule here because it has not got any flavor of income, expense, gain and loss. Nor I can take the help of real account because it is not asset. The only account that I can seek help is personal account. Now tell me guys, this capital owner, this capital account or this owner, is it a natural personal account or is it an artificial personal account?
Natural
Personal account. So being a natural personal account, okay, even if it is natural or artificial, the rule is one: debit the receiver, credit the giver. That is fixed. But why are we asking the classification is because in your exam they can specifically ask a question that if this capital account belongs to which category, whether it belongs to natural category, natural person or artificial person. For that sake we are understanding. Otherwise, once you classify an account as personal, you're done with it. The rule is debit the receiver, credit the giver. Now tell me guys, the owner is giver or receiver?
Giver.
Giver of capital. So debit the receiver, credit the giver. So can I say capital of the owner has to be credited?
Yes, sir.
Capital account has to be credited, cash account has to be debited. Every transaction will have two aspects, one debit, another credit. Are you able to understand what is happening?
Yes, sir.
So personal account can be classified into 3 categories: natural personal account, artificial personal account, representative personal account. So there are 3 categories. You need to remember these 3 names for sure. The term natural person means person who are creation of God. Therefore, these will include accounts in individual name. For example, Ram account, Asha account, Sham account. I sold goods to Ram. Ram is a natural human being, natural person created by God. So he'll be categorized as natural person. Now, it is not necessary that I'll sell all the goods or I'll purchase only goods from the natural person. Guys, we purchase from the artificial person. Who are the artificial person? Sole proprietorship concern, firms, companies, LLPs, HUF, etc. All these are artificial person. Why are we calling this as person? Because law said that you are person, but you're artificial person. So if I'm buying from, let's suppose Reliance Limited. Reliance Limited is a company. That is an artificial person. So you will categorize under this artificial personal account. These accounts include accounts of corporate bodies or institution which are recognized as person, in business dealing. Account that is government has been recognized that these sole proprietorship business, partnership business, companies, that is corporate bodies, companies alternative name is called as corporate bodies, will be recognized as person, but it is called as artificial person. For example, the accounts of a limited company, the account of a club is another form, guys. Club, cooperative society are different forms of having the business. Club, cooperative society. These are the various forms in which you can conduct business in India. These are the forms in which you can do business. So guys, are you clear with what is personal account and what is the classification of personal account as natural and artificial?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All of you? Now guys, there is a third one which is called as a representative personal account. Trust me, you will not understand anything at this point. All you have to understand is that this is a special category where you'll record the 4 special cases. You'll record the 4 special cases, and that is nothing but prepaid, accrued, unearned, and one more thing is there. So I'll make a note here. Under the personal account, guys, you have 3 categories. Natural, personal account, artificial personal account, and third is representative personal account. Representative personal account. Guys, in representative personal account, you take care of 4 special items. When you come across in any business transaction, these 4 accounts, you have to put it under representative category. Only then you will understand why it is representative. This is slightly complicated, hence I'm not explaining now. So, prepaid expenses, outstanding expenses. Now you say, sir, expense, this got the flavor of expense, so I should go to nominal. No. Name is expense, but the flavor is not expense. Why? Because if you see the prefix of this, it is prepaid, it is outstanding. So these are got the nature of assets and liabilities. So if with any income and expense, if you prefix anything as prepaid, outstanding, or accrued, ACCRUED, income, or income received in advance, right? If you have any prefix or suffix to expense and income, guys, then they don't have the flavor of any income and expense. They don't carry the expense of income and expenses anymore. So what are these, sir? Prepaid is my asset. Outstanding expense is my liability. Accrued income is my asset. Income received in advance is my liability. Sir, how are you saying that these are assets and liabilities? Guys, you will be able to understand this only when I explain in detail what is the meaning of prepaid, outstanding, accrued, and income received in advance. This I'll do in detail when I do the journal chapter for you, chapter number 8. As of now, you have to remember that whenever you come across in any business financial transaction, if you come across the flavor of prepaid expenses, outstanding expenses, accrued income, and income received in advance, these four means you look up to the rule which is representative. I repeat one more time, these are not the these accounts are not having the flavor of income and expense. Just because expense income is there, don't think that these are having the flavors of income and expenses. No. These are something either belonging to asset category or liability category. So you will get the thorough understanding of these four special transactions only when I come to chapter number 8. That is journal. So guys, can we do a quick recap? So we are doing traditional approach, guys. Traditional approach. We are studying the accounting rule, right? Which accounting rule are we studying, guys? We are studying traditional approach, which is also called as English approach, and more importantly, it is called as golden rule of accounting. It says that any transaction that is taking place in the business, you will be able to categorize under 3 categories. That is personal, real, and nominal. So all the accounts which has got the flavor of liabilities plus it has got the flavor of debtor and bank, then it will come to my personal account. Now guys, you have to understand, why did we exclude debtor from the real account? Guys, debtor can be a natural human being, that is natural person, or it can be an artificial person. If I'm selling the goods to Ram is a natural person. If I'm selling the goods to Ram and Co, it becomes artificial person. So therefore we excluded debtors from the real account. Bank, guys, bank can be run in a specific form and body, guys. Bank runs in a specific form and body, and law has given that bank will be called as artificial person. That is the reason we have excluded bank from the real account and included in personal account. So personal account means something which belongs to liability plus debtor plus bank, because debtor and bank can be artificial person and debtor can also be natural person. That is why we're looking up to the personal golden rule. The golden rule what is applied for these is personal. What is personal golden rule says that, sir, debit the receiver. In the transaction, if any account is receiving something, debit him. If any account is giving something, credit them. Now, guys, if I have in any transaction the flavor of assets, except debtor and bank, the rule is debit what comes in, credit what goes out. The rule for real is debit what comes in, credit what goes out. And if in any business, if I come across any transaction which has got the flavor of income, expense, gain, and loss, then you look up to nominal rule, which says that debit all expense and losses, credit all incomes and gains. I don't expect you to understand or remember this 100% now, guys, because we need to do a lot of practice. Only practice, through practice, we'll get to understand all this in detail. So can I say that at least 30% of this you have understood? 30% of the rule is gone into your head?
Yes, sir.
30%,
Yes,
not much, 30%.
Yes, sir.
So this is the summary of the table, guys. If it is a personal account, if you categorize any account as personal, then debit the receiver, credit the giver. And if you categorize something as real, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. If any account you're categorizing as nominal, then debit all expense and losses, credit all incomes and gains. So guys, can we take a quick break of 5 minutes and then come back into illustration 1? What's it?
Yes, sir.
Done.
Yes,
Let's take
sir.
a break of 5 minutes, guys. We'll come and apply the golden rule in illustration 1. So guys, welcome back from the break. So let's continue with illustration 1. It says that classify the following accounts into personal, real, and nominal. That's all. They're asking only to classify as personal, real, and nominal. You don't have to get into whether should I debit or credit, nothing. Just classify whether it is personal, real, or nominal. Yes, please tell me. Cash. What is cash? Personal, real, or nominal?
Nominal.
Okay. From cash, can you get the flavor of income and expense? Are you getting the flavor of income and expense?
Yes, sir.
Or are you getting the flavor of assets and liabilities?
Cash would be real because cash is an asset, right?
Absolutely. Kana, cash is not your income. Cash is not having the flavor of income and expense. Sales, if I do a cash sale is having the flavor of income and expense. Oh, sorry, income. And purchase has got the flavor of expense. In both of these transactions, cash is involved. So cash is asset, whereas sales is income, expenses is sorry, purchase is my expenses. So cash is not it's not got the flavor of income and expenses. Cash has got the flavor of asset because you own cash. Are you clear with this?
Yeah,
Cash means you'll think about asset. If you think about asset, two things can come in your mind, either personal or real. Which one you go for, guys? Cash means personal or real?
Real.
Absolutely.
Real.
Real, sir.
Real is the correct answer. Next one, bank, guys. Bank means they're talking about your bank, the money, the place where you have your money in your bank, right? Okay, so please tell me, guys, bank, what flavor do you get? You get
Personal.
that personal. Bank is what? Asset, liability? What is it?
It's an asset, but it's not counted in as part of real.
Correct. But in asset, what kind of asset is it? Asset means something you own it, or asset means something you expect to receive in future. So which way do you say this is an asset?
Receive it
in
later
future.
in future.
Yeah.
Whenever we
Receive it
demand,
later.
banker has to give that money to me in future. So I'll receive this in future. So whatever money is there in my bank account is the money that will come to me in future. Therefore, it is asset. And the rule that will apply here is personal. The rule that you apply here is personal. Excellent. Guys, outstanding salary. Salary is expense. And to the expense, there's a prefix outstanding. So can I say this is a special
Representative
case? Yes.
personal account.
So it is representative personal account. This is a special case. This is a special case. So we call it as representative personal account. So, we give that, that respect in too much, representative personal account, because it's too much special, right? So that's where you can remember it. So it is representative personal account, and it is a liability. Outstanding means what? I'm yet to pay my salary. What is the meaning of salary? Salary is my expenditure. Did I pay it? No. Outstanding salary means what? I am yet to pay. Outstanding means yet to pay. Just I'm giving you an outer line about it. About this, I'll discuss in detail in chapter number 8, as I said earlier. So outstanding salaries is a liability because I have to pay the money to my employee in future. That is why it is representative personal account, and the liability rule is applied here. Next is, guys, sales. What flavor do you get from sales? Asset, liability, income, expense?
Expense. Nominal.
Expense?
Expense.
Sales is expense.
income.
Sorry, income.
Income, sir.
Income.
You get the flavor of income. You get the flavor of income. So the rule that you look up to is nominal.
Nominal.
Now, accrued interest. Accrued interest.
Representative personal account.
Representative personal account. This is asset. Why it is asset, I'll explain in detail when I do the chapter number 8. Right? Just as of now, just remember this is a special case. So we treat it as a representative personal account. Leasehold property. Leasehold property. You are having a property which is taken on lease. In Tamil, we say bogam. You have taken a property on bogam. That is basically you pay a lump sum, let's say 20-30 lakh rupees, and get that premises with you for about 5 years. So that you don't have to pay monthly rent. It's called as leasehold property. So tell me, guys, what flavor do you get? Do you get the flavor of asset, liability, income, or expense? Property.
Asset.
Asset. Absolutely asset. Because you're using this property for more than 1 year. You're getting the benefit beyond 1 year. If I undoubtedly this you can say as expense. But guys, what do I call as expense? Expense is something, the benefit of that, or benefit of spending that money is consumed within that financial year. That is why we call it as expense. Asset is something, guys, even though you make the payment of the money, for example, I'm buying a car, you may say it is an expense. No. Why? Because this car is asset because I'm able to use this car for more than 1 financial year. So if you're able to utilize that expense beyond 1 year, that is treated as asset. So leasehold property, undoubtedly asset. What rule?
Real.
Real. Fantastic. Now, guys, drawings.
Expense.
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 Is the drawings really okay? What is the meaning of drawings?
Loss. The things
Money
which
taken
going
for
out of
personal expenses.
Drawing is
The money taking from the
For-
capital, sir, for personal use.
drawing is basically the owner is not having sufficient money at home, so he urgently needs money at home for personal purpose. So he's withdrawing the money from the business and taking and giving to home. That is called as drawing. That is not expenditure of the business. The money which owner gave to the business, that money is taking back. Will you classify that as expense? No. That is something belonging to owner. Guys, drawings transaction is something between owner and the business. And I told you, if anything is happening between owner and business, it will be routed through the capital account. It will be routed through the capital account, which is related to owner. Owner is personal. So it is personal account. It involves human being. Guys, yes or no? Drawings cannot take place without person. So specific, this is a special, again exclusive case where drawings is related to the owner being human being, we treat it as personal. Are you able to follow? Guys, what do you say?
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
This is an exclusive case, so you have to remember this way. Now, discount received. Discount received. What is discount received? You're going to a shop, you're buying, let's suppose, a lot of clothes. And let's say you're going to lifestyle, you're going and buying a lot of clothes for yourself. And the shopkeeper is giving you a discount. You're receiving a discount. What flavor do you get? Do you get the flavor of asset, liability, gain, loss, income, expense? Can I say it is a flavor of a gain? You gain something. You're about to purchase clothes worth 10,000 rupees. Out of nowhere, you got a discount of 2,000 rupees. So can I say you've gained this discount? This is a gain for you. Yes or no?
Yes,
Discount
sir.
received is a gain. So it is a which classification?
Nominal.
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 Very good. Bad debt written off. What is the meaning of bad debt, guys? What is the meaning of bad debt? I'll explain you. Now, you have sold the goods to your customer on a credit basis. That is, let's suppose you've sold goods to Ram for 10,000 rupees. You have sold goods to Ram for 10,000 rupees. So Ram is supposed to make you the payment, right? So you're supposed to receive money from Ram. Now Ram says that no, I'm not going to pay you the money. Get lost. I'm not going to pay you the money. Can I say this 10,000 is a loss for you? You sold goods to Ram, believing that he'll make the payment in future, but he ditched us. He did not pay this money. So can I say this 10,000 is a loss for you? He's not paid you the money.
Yeah, 10,000 would be loss.
Loss. So it is getting the flavor of loss. So loss comes under which category? Personal, real, or nominal?
Nominal.
Nominal. So bad debt means, bad debt is a specific case. Bad debt means that you have sold goods to the customer and customer later did not make you the payment. So that transaction where the customer is saying that I'm not going to give you the payment, it is called as bad debt. Bad debt written off. Bad debt written off. About this we'll be discussing in detail when we do chapter number 8. Purchases, guys. Personal, real, or nominal? Purchases. Personal, real, or nominal?
Nominal.
Because it is got the flavor of expense. So bad debt has got the flavor of loss, hence this is also nominal. Purchase has also got the flavor of expenses, nominal. Bad debt recovered, guys. Now the person who said that get lost is coming back and giving you the money. So the item which you thought as loss, now you're gaining it back. So can I say bad debt recovered is a gain?
Nominal.
Nominal. So bad debt recovered, something which you thought that it will never come, something which you thought as a loss, now that is coming back to you. So that is basically the recovery of the bad debt. It is a gain for you, hence nominal. Plant and machinery, guys.
It's
Asset
assets.
and
It's an
real.
asset. So you will focus up to real. So asset and real. Excellent. Beautiful. Capital, guys.
Liability.
Capital is personal, sir.
Personal.
Personal. It comes under liability column. So hence it is personal. Brilliant. Which person? Natural person or artificial person or representative person account?
Natural person.
Natural.
If the owner who is contributing to capital is human being, then natural person. Now, sir, can artificial person also give what do you call it? Capital? Of course. In most of the cases, it is the natural human being. So it is most of the cases personal, natural personal account. But yes, in some cases also it can be artificial person account, depending on who is giving the capital. Whether the natural person is giving capital or whether the artificial person is giving the capital. Based on that, you will decide whether the transaction is natural personal account or artificial personal account. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Next
Yes,
is
sir.
interest paid. Interest paid. Paid. Interest. What is interest? Expense. Interest is expense. What is meaning of interest, guys? I have
Sir,
taken a
like
loan.
vaddi.
Correct. In Tamil, we call it as vaddi. In Hindi, we call it as byaj. In English, we call it as interest. I've taken loan from bank. Will bank give me the money free of cost? Or in return, they'll expect something?
In return, they'll expect.
Everybody in this world, whatever you do to anybody, something in return is expected. Yes or no? So I take loan from bank and bank is expecting interest in return. So I'm paying interest to bank. So can I say it is my expenditure?
Yes, sir.
Because I've enjoyed the benefit of bank loan. That loan I've enjoyed in the business. And for that, I'm paying the interest. So interest is the expense. Why do I take it as expense? Because the benefit is consumed within that financial year. Interest is paid for 1 year. Why did I pay it for 1 year? Because I've consumed the benefit of the loan. I've enjoyed the benefit of the loan. Hence, it is expense. So interest paid is expense, guys. So what do you think? Personal, real, or nominal?
Personal, sir.
Nominal. Why personal, you're saying? Interest paid. Interest is expense. Interest is expense. Nominal. Shri, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, bank overdraft. What is the meaning of bank overdraft? So guys, normally when I open a bank account, who puts money into bank? We put money into bank. Normally, guys, if I go to bank and open a bank account, have you opened a bank account for yourself, guys? Anybody here? No? Anybody's got minor account? Because all of you should be less than 18. So anybody's got bank account, minor bank account? No. Okay. So what happens is, guys, when you go to bank, asking that bank, please open a bank account for me. I will put some money and I'll, take the help of your facility to transfer money to somebody and to receive money from somebody. Okay. So what are the various kinds of accounts we can open in bank? One is called as savings bank account. Savings bank account. This is one type of bank account you can open in bank. Look at the word savings bank account. Why do people open savings bank account? Guys, whatever money they get as salary, if they don't want everything to be spent, because people those days used to get, guys, salary in cash. It is recently now in last 10 years, people have been very aggressive, about getting all the salaries in bank account. 10 years before, only few people get money in the salary that is bank account. Most of them used to get the salary only in cash. So people had a fear that whatever money I'm getting as salary, everything I'll spend it. I don't have anywhere to hide it. Even if I hide it in some, tiffin box inside my house, somewhere, I spend the money consciously or unconsciously. So what bankers started doing is, bankers started sensing an opportunity here. They told that, they started telling people that, you can do one thing. If you feel that, you're not able to save money in your hands, you can come and open an account in my bank and you can start saving the money in there. Once you start putting the money in the savings account, guys, you cannot freely take the money just like that. So there is some restriction placed inside. So because of that, you'll be encouraged to spend less and save more. So we have one account called a savings bank account. So in India, the maximum account that all the individual people is got savings bank account. So in savings bank account, guys, we have to put the money. Only then this bank account will be operated. Only then this account will be open to operate. Am I getting this point, all of you? So savings bank account, we put money in bank. We put money in our bank account. We put money in our bank account. So can I say, whenever I demand, the banker has to pay this money back to me. So can I say the money which is lying in my savings bank account is asset? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Another type of bank account is called as current account. Have you heard of this word, current bank account? Or it is shortly called as current account. Current account. This is used by whom? This is used by business people. Business people will not open savings bank account. Any person who is other than business people, who has got the intention to save the money in the savings bank account, they'll open it. Business people will not open savings bank account, because I told you in savings bank account, there is some restriction that is coming up with. So because of that, the flexibility is not there. So in business, we need to have complete flexibility. That is, whenever I want, I can put the money, and whenever I want, I can withdraw the money. And how much ever I want, I can withdraw the money. In savings bank account, whenever you want, you can put the money. Whenever you want, you can withdraw the money. But there'll be limit beyond which you'll not be able to withdraw on a particular day. But in business, that cannot happen. No, if I go with that restriction, if I suddenly have to make, let's say, 10 lakh rupees a payment to a party, and bank says that no, you cannot make payment beyond 2 lakh rupees, then I'll be stuck in my business. So savings bank will not be of any help for a business people. So business people open current bank account. This account got multiple features. Different bank is offering different feature. Now in this bank account, what happens is, guys, we put money. We put money in our bank account. We put money in our bank account. So whenever we ask banker in future, he has to give me the money. That's why it is called as asset. Now, what is the difference between the two? Now, current account comes with flexibility. Current account comes with flexibility. I can do whatever I want to do. It comes with a lot of flexibility. I have a lot of flexibility to operate the bank account. So I have highest flexibility in the current account. In savings bank account, the flexibility is less. Less flexibility. This is one difference. Another difference is, guys, the major difference is that to encourage people to put more money in the savings bank account, what banks started doing is banks started offering interest. Banker said that, my dear friend, if you come and put, let's say, 10,000 rupees in my bank account, in my bank, I will give you interest on that. I will give you interest on that. So now people see this as business, as an opportunity to earn something more. So normal middle class people, guys, lot of people, they depend on interest income. So whatever the savings they have, they don't know where to invest it. So they feel that bank is safe. They go and open a savings bank account and put the money in that, and they're getting interest, and the interest is very nominal. Interest is very, very nominal. Earlier we used to get 4%, guys. Now after pandemic, we are getting interest in the SB account somewhere in the range of 1.5% to 2% per annum. 2% per annum. Earlier we used to get 4% per annum. Now it has come down to 2, guys. In some cases even 1.5. Whereas in current bank account, guys, there is no interest that is being offered, because you are putting the money whenever you want and you're withdrawing the money whenever you want. So money will be continuously being rotated in the bank account. Today you'll put 10 lakh, tomorrow you will withdraw 8 lakh. Again you'll put 5 lakh, again you'll withdraw 6 lakh. So like that, money will keep coming and going very frequently in current bank account. So bankers cannot utilize that money. Therefore, they cannot give the interest. Now, why is bank giving you interest? In savings bank account, when you put, let's suppose 1 lakh rupees, you don't have the intention to withdraw that money very soon. So you will keep that money for a longer period. Now, what banker will do? Banker will use that money and give it to loan for another party. What is banking business? Bank will take from one person, give it to another person. Guys, what is the banking business all about? Bank will, that is customer, will give money to the bank. And bank in return will give you what? 4% interest. Now, what will bank do with that money? Bank will give the money to the business people. And business people will give interest, let's suppose 10% to the banker. So banker is earning 10% interest income and his interest expense is 4%. So can I say banker is gaining 6% as income in between? Tell me, guys. What is the banking business? Banking is all about lending, getting and lending. What is banking business? Banking business is lending money. Why are banks into the system? To lend money. Where will bankers get the money to lend? They'll get the money from the customers like us, where we go and deposit money in bank account. No? From that money, they will give to the business people and earn interest. So banker will use our money to give to the businessman and he will earn 10%. And in return, he will keep 6% and give the 4% to us. Are you getting this point? But in current bank account, what happens is that money will come and go instantly. So banker does not have any hold on that money. So he says that, I don't know, today you'll put money and tomorrow you'll take off. Then how can I give to the businessman in future? So I cannot give the money to the businessman in future. Therefore, I'm not able to earn the money, earn the 10% interest, because I'm not able to give your money to somebody else, because you're putting the money and next moment you're withdrawing it. So you're a very risky person to me. I cannot consider your money as very safe. So banker will not pay any interest. That is why in current account, guys, there is no interest element involved. But still, why do businessmen choose current account? Because in that there is a lot of flexibility that is given. There is a lot of another benefits that is given for the bank, from the bank side to the business people. Now guys, then we have fixed deposit account, FD account. Now some people guys, you put the money in savings bank account. Why? You put it small amount, let's suppose 10,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees, and you don't know when you will withdraw this money. The money what you put into the bank, it does not come with a lock-in period. Lock-in period means what? If I'm putting 1 lakh rupees in bank is not telling that I'll give you after 1 year only. No, whenever you want, you can withdraw. That is why interest is less here. In fixed deposit, you are putting the money to block it for a period of 1 year or 2 years. Now guys, bankers, feeling that this money is with me for 1 year and 2 years, so he'll offer you more money, more interest. So here guys, in fixed deposit, you open a fixed deposit account, you put your 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees in the FD account, and you'll get that money only after 1 year or 2 years, depending on the term what you have selected. Some people put in FD for 5 years. So this is also guys, we put money in our bank account. We put our money in our bank account. So this is also asset for me, because whenever I want in future, after 1 year or 2 year or 5 year, after the date is matured, I'll get the money back in future. Hence it is asset. In savings bank account, I'm getting interest, and here also I'm getting interest. There is less flexibility in the FD. So in savings also I'm getting interest, in FD also I'm getting interest. In FD I'll get more interest. Let's say 5%, 6% I'll get interest. Why? Because when you put the money, you're putting with a promise that I'll take this money only after 1 year. There's a lock-in period of 1 year. You're locking your money for 1 year, 2 year, 5 year. So the bank feels that, okay, this person is giving me the money and I can use this money for next 1 year, 2 year and 5 year. So he can rely on this and give the money to the businessman and earn further interest. That is why he's offering more interest. Whereas in savings bank account, there is no lock-in period. If you put 1 lakh rupees in the account, you can withdraw after next day also, or you can withdraw after 1 year, or you can withdraw after 3 years. There is no lock-in period. So the banker will always be in stress that when you will withdraw the money. So that is why he's offering you less interest. To make FD look more lucrative, he's offering less interest for the SB account and more interest for the FD account. So all the three what I discussed is assets so far, guys. Now let's further talk about this current account. Guys, in this current account, who will put the money? Guys, in current account, who will put the money?
Business people.
We put the money. We put 1 lakh rupees. We put 1 lakh rupees. That is business people put 1 lakh rupees. Tell me guys, how much money I can withdraw from the account at the most?
50,000.
Why? How do you say 50? 1 lakh is your money. No, you can withdraw full 1 lakh. No, whenever you want. How do you say 50?
Sir, if there's some loss after that, so remaining money.
Loss? No. In bank, there's no loss happening. This is your money which you put in the bank account. 1 lakh rupees you put in the bank account. And you can withdraw, like when you go and ask banker, you can ask, you have the rights to ask full 1 lakh rupees, right? You have given 1 lakh rupees to the banker, right? So you can go and demand your entire 1 lakh rupees because this entire 1 lakh belongs to you. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So to the extent of 1 lakh rupees, can I say this is my asset?
Yes, sir.
Because I'll be receiving this money in future. So sometimes guys, with current account, they will add, I told you it comes with a lot of flexibility. They give you one more additional feature to it. One, you can have current account as plain current account. Another, you can convert your current account, or along with the current account, you can add the word overdraft. That is, this is my current account. You have the option to add along with this one more word called overdraft. Overdraft account, which means what? If it is only a plain current account, you have put 1 lakh rupees, you can withdraw only maximum 1 lakh rupees. But in overdraft account, guys, if I want to withdraw more than 1 lakh rupees, I can withdraw. For let's suppose I want to withdraw 3 lakh rupees. I can withdraw 3 lakh rupees because this is an overdraft account. Overdraft account means what? If my money is not sufficiently available in the account, banker will help me with additional rupees. So here, guys, I'm withdrawing 3 lakh. Out of this 3 lakh rupees, guys, can I say 1 lakh is my money? And bank is giving extra 2 lakh. Why? This is not my money. Just because I asked my banker that I need more money, they're giving me this 2 lakh rupees as a loan. So can I say this 1 lakh is asset and 2 lakh is a liability? 1 lakh is asset because it is my money, which is coming to me in future. And 2 lakh rupees is, guys, it is a loan taken from the bank, which I have to repay back. So bank overdraft means it is a liability, because over and above the money what is there in my current account, I'm withdrawing the money. When I go to the bank and take the money from bank, I'm not taking 1 lakh, I'm taking 3 lakh rupees. You put only 1 lakh, how can you get 3 lakh rupees? If you're getting 3 lakh rupees, means your account is a current account plus a combination of overdraft account. If your account is only current account, you cannot withdraw the extra 2 lakh rupees. Are you getting this point? So therefore, coming back, this bank overdraft is what? It is a liability. You're overdrafting. Overdraft means taking over money, over and above what is already there in your bank account. In your bank account, you are eligible to take 1 lakh rupees only. Why? Because you put only 1 lakh. So you can take 1 lakh only. But if you're taking over and above that extra amount, which is not yours, that is called as bank overdraft, which is liability. Now, are you clear what is bank overdraft?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appa. Now, guys, prepaid rent. Rent is my expense. Prepaid. I told you 4 special cases. Prepaid, outstanding, accrued,
Accounts.
artificial personal account. Absolutely. Carriage inward. It is an expense. Carriage means transportation cost. So it is my expense. Sorry?
So prepaid rent would be representative, right? Not artificial.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, representative personal account. That's correct. Thanks for correcting. Guys, prepaid rent is absolutely representative, no doubt, because it is a special case, one among the 4 special cases. Coming to carriage inward, guys, carriage inward is what? It is an expense. What is the meaning of carriage inward? You'll understand when you do the practical questions in future. So carriage inward is my expense. It's like my transportation cost. So it is my nominal. I'll have the category of nominal. Goodwill, guys, goodwill. We studied somewhere goodwill. Is it asset, liability, income, expense? What is it?
So it's intangible asset.
It is intangible asset. So intangible asset means which account will you look up to?
Real.
Real account. Comfortable so far? So we're left with 2 more questions, guys. We'll do that in the next class, illustration 2 and illustration 3. Probably we need another 40 more minutes to complete this illustration 1 and 3, so 2 and 3. And after that, guys, we'll be doing next approach called as modern approach, guys. This is very, 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 very important. In your entire 11th, you'll be giving equal weightage, equal importance to both the approach, that is traditional and modern. But when we do 12th and onwards, the only approach we'll be emphasizing much on is only modern approach, because golden rule is a big disaster. It's a big failure. Why it is a disaster, why it is a failure, we'll understand in the upcoming class. So next class is going to be very, very important, guys, and modern approach is going to be killer approach. It'll be very, very easy. I'm telling you, this is the approach what we'll be using everywhere in future. So please do not miss this session, right, guys? So I'm putting an end to today's session here. I'll meet you all in the next class. Until then, bye-bye. See you. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Bye.